Chapter 41. Settling the Framework Agreement. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As for the possibility of failure, Su Yang had also thought of it before. 3 months would be enough to know whether his plan was workable or not. He had 28,000 yuan with him, which would be enough to pay Wang Dong's salary for 2 months. If he could not even earn 5,000 yuan in the next 2 months and failed to pay Wang Dong for the 3rd month, Su Yang would give it up right away in order to cut his losses. He would only lose 15,000 yuan at most in this plan, which made up the salary for Wang Dong. As for Wang Dong, it would be like working part-time while searching for the next job. The plan would barely affect his future. If the plan worked, this would be his actual career. Su Yang would not only complete the silver mission but would have a career of his own. The thought of starting his career with basically nothing, having a startup company during his first year of university, and becoming a millionaire sounded great. After he parted ways with Wang Dong, Su Yang headed to the administration bureau to register his company. Since he was doing it by himself, Su Yang found out that registering a company was not an easy task. The name of the company must be approved first before determining the operation range of the company. Then, the proof of rental or the deed of the office must be provided, followed by the list of shareholders' names as well as their contact numbers and addresses. A company stamp was also needed to verify the documents. Su Yang did not mind all the trivial procedures, but he did not have some of the required documents such as the proof of rental or the deed to the office. He was just a briefcase company, so where would he find an office? Even if he rented one right away regardless of the rental, he might not make it in time. In the end, he got an intermediary agent for the registration. The intermediary agents outside the administration bureau or even in the lobby were closely connected to the internal officers and were very familiar with the steps and necessary documents for the registration. Be it opening a bank account or registering a location, they would settle everything at a price. The price of their services was not cheap either. It was a total of 800 yuan. Su Yang suppressed the pain in his heart and paid for the service. He left 3 name choices for his company, all kinds of details, and his contact number with the intermediary agent. The country had already lowered the requirements for a sole proprietor private limited company to 10,000 renminbi, and the company had the choice to put in paid-up capital or a subscribed capital plan. Therefore, the owner of the company could decide whether to deposit the money to the company's bank account during registration or not. Otherwise, the owner could deposit the money at a later date or pay the money through an installment over a fixed period of time. At the same time, Wang Dong returned to Junqing Intermediary and met Manager Zhang. Manager Zhang was much friendlier when he saw Wang Dong. He poured a cup of water for him and asked with a smile, "Wang, what brings you here today?" Wang Dong sat on only a third of the chair, which made his sitting posture look straighter. He said, "Brother Zhang, I'm here to ask for a favor. I've just gotten into a new company which mostly provides part-time jobs to university students. Since Junqing had a lot of part-time cases the last time, I'm thinking that we might be able to work together." Initially, Manager Zhang was surprised by Wang Dong's words before he plunged into thought. He said, "How many university students can your company pool together for a job?" Wang Dong went through the data Su Yang had provided him in his mind. "We can get around 70 to 100 right away, and we can even get 100 to 200 with some preparation. This is only our initial stage, so we will be able to provide a better number in the future." As the department manager of a large intermediary company, Manager Zhang was obviously a smart person. He was able to pinpoint some details from Wang Dong's words. He leisurely lit a cigarette and took a puff with squinted eyes. As the cloud of smoke floated out of his mouth, he said, "A startup." Wang Dong was slightly stunned before he nodded. Manager Zhang continued smoking in silence as if he was pondering something. A moment later, he looked at Wang Dong and said, "If I'm correct, your company only has a few people and your boss is the business source." Your boss has connections with the university students and related resources while you've been hired to make connections to part-time jobs. Wang Dong nodded again. If you have the idea and are able to get our company's resources, why don't you become your own boss? Manager Zhang suggested. The office fell into silence whilst the cigarette burned. Wang Dong lowered his head in silence for a long while. Then, he sighed and said to Manager Zhang, "Brother Zhang, I've been following you since I came into this company, so you should know a great deal about me. I actually don't like being an intermediary. I actually still wanted to be an interior designer. I come to work in the office and the supervisor will tell me what to do and what not to do, so I just have to follow orders and things will work out. If I do this on my own, I will be completely lost and I don't have the necessary motivation. Besides that, I'm looking for stability now. I don't want to invest my hard-earned savings into a risky project," said Wang Dong with a bitter smile. "If I had the ambition, I wouldn't have waited until now. Sigh, you really work hard and are passionate about the job, but you lack the impulse and motivation." Manager Zhang sighed heavily and extinguished the cigarette in the ashtray. His words to Wang Dong sounded very sincere. "But I still like you the most in our department. You are honest and hardworking. I never had to worry about the task I gave you." "Too bad." The two of them knew what happened after that. Manager Zhang stood up and took 2 steps forward. "Maybe it's true that you don't want to do this project yourself. There are people who have tried this before, but regardless of how hard they worked on it, they could not succeed because there were a lot of problems. For example, the turnover rate of part-time university students is too high, or the university itself has its own part-time job circle which you won't be able to get in easily. Or another example is that it will attract social problems. If the school finds out, the teachers will voice their rejection or whatnot. Most importantly, this kind of working pattern requires a huge amount of manpower and resources, and the threshold for the job is low. If your company can't switch properly, the best you can do is not starve to death. You might not even find an investor or people to buy out the company. Those who tried to be entrepreneurs never just wanted to fill their stomachs, thus many of them failed in this project. You have your reasons for not doing this on your own. You are the founding employee of your current company anyway. If it works, you will be the right-hand man of your boss, and if it doesn't, just find another job." Wang Dong smiled and nodded. "That's what I thought." The two of them combed the details of Su Yang's company and talked about potential future plans. Manager Zhang's face had a wide smile on it. "Okay then. Since you've already come to me, of course, I'll take care of you. I'll give you a list of our company's cases every week and you will get the priority to choose from them. As for the price, it will be our company's best price. You should know all of that." Surprised, Wang Dong gushed, "Thank you, Brother Zhang. Thank you." Manager Zhang patted his shoulder. "It's nothing. I felt guilty for your departure as well. If I can help, I'll feel better. Now, should we draw up a year's framework agreement first?" Chapter 42. Mission complete. Add points to the smartphone. You're listening at novelfull.audio. Right after Manager Zhang suggested signing a framework agreement, Wang Dong looked a little embarrassed. "Brother Zhang, can you wait for a week or two? My company hasn't even registered yet." Manager Zhang looked at Wang Dong with a poker face. He then cleared his throat to cover up the awkwardness. "Wang, I do this out of trust for you. Don't you scam me." Wang Dong nervously explained, I won't. The boss is a trustworthy person." "Great, I'll spare you this favor out of my personal tab for now. When your company is registered, we will sign the framework agreement and it must go through the official SOPs. "Thank you, Brother Zhang." "Thank you." Back at home, Su Yang received a call from Wang Dong about the deal made with Junqing Intermediary. Not only did Wang Dong get the job with the property company this Saturday, but he even got a framework agreement to be drawn up, and if the company got registered, he could sign it right away. Su Yang was quite pleased with Wang Dong's efficiency. He believed he was correct about Wang Dong's character. The man might not be a good decision-maker, but he was a good executor. At this early stage of forming his own company, Su Yang did not need someone else to make the decision with him, so Wang Dong was the most suitable aide in his entrepreneurship. Since Wang Dong struck a deal with Junqing Intermediary, Su Yang could go on and filter the students who had applied for the job on Saturday. After a whole afternoon, he picked 20 candidates who looked older than their actual age as well as couples who signed up together. As for those he did not pick, Su Yang told them he would soon get another part-time job with a large volume and the price decent. He informed them that an invitation would be sent out at a later time. Right after the last interview with the candidate, a beep sounded in Su Yang's head. Advanced random mission completed. Calculating rewards. The advanced random mission was similar to the bronze mission. He had to receive it for the system to calculate his reward. Su Yang tapped on it and a new window popped up. Completed advanced random mission. Mission rating. A. 6 random points will be rewarded. A. Is that the highest rating? Su Yang pondered about the rating. If he remembered correctly, the mission description did mention the reward being 1 to 6 random points, and since he got 6 random points, did that mean he got the highest rating? However, without other missions as a reference, Su Yang did not know whether his guess was correct or not. Since he got some random points, it would be time for him to add one to his phone. Here I come, phone. Su Yang took his phone out. It was actually a second-hand phone he bought in the Zhejiang province. When he got accepted into Shanghai University, due to the distance, his parents bought a phone for him to lessen their worries so that they could call him whenever they thought about him. Back then, his parents squeezed out 800 yuan for Su Yang to buy a new phone, but he did not. He bought a second-hand Huawei Honor V8 instead. The camera of the phone came with an automatic bokeh effect, and Su Yang was astonished when he saw the phone for the first time. However, maybe because it was an old model phone from a few years ago, it could not keep up with the requirement of the apps. After half a year of usage, it started to lag, but he still liked it. He looked at his phone with an absent-minded expression. Am I really going to add the point to my phone? Is Little Hus lying to me? Su Yang looked at Little Hus that was sleeping on the bed with its legs up, or rather, the legs of the husky picture. He started to suspect if Little Hus had the special ability to identify the potential for a life evolution to take place. Hey, wait up. I have something to ask you. He picked Little Hus up. The husky picture on the bolster moved and turned its face away, showing Su Yang the back of its head. It continued to snore. Su Yang turned the bolster around, but it was empty. This B*** can hide his face. That's effing awesome. Su Yang filled a pail with water and tossed Little Hus in. Woof. 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 All 4 edges of the bolster were struggling in the water. Where did the water come from? Are you awake? Su Yang then picked Little Hus up. Little Hus glared at him as if it was trying to eat him alive. Su Yang, I haven't slept for 2 days. Can't I have some rest? Su Yang smiled. Right, you tortured me for 2 days and you want to sleep now. So you can torture me more at night. Little Hus gave Su Yang its husky death stare. Su Yang did not care about the grumpy husky bolster and showed Little Hus his phone. Does my phone really have the potential for life evolution? Are you lying to me? Little Hus yawned, appearing dispirited. Of course, it does. Why would I lie to you? Judging from his looks, it may be real. Su Yang started to believe he had been overthinking. Since Little Hus was this confident, he decided to trust the husky bolster for once. He would add the point to his phone. He washed his hands with his lucky soap in the bathroom and made his hands as fragrant as possible to expel any bad luck. He then opened the system. Everything in his house had a plus sign overlaid in the upper left corner. Su Yang tapped on the plus sign on his phone. The phone gleamed. A new window popped up. Point addition failed. Success rate increased for the next edition. Point addition failed. Su Yang was dumbstruck. Can the points fail? Why haven't I heard about this before? The system really surprised him every day with something new. Why had he not heard of failing the point addition process? It was unbelievable. Nevertheless, the point added did not go to waste. Its success rate was increased for the next round of addition instead. Should I continue to add points to the phone? Su Yang glanced over Little Hus, who was yawning and dozing off. Let's just go with it. I have some points to spare. With that in mind, Su Yang opened the system again and added the point to his phone again. Point addition failed. Success rate increased for the next edition. Again. Su Yang's heart was bleeding after having wasted 2 random points. How high was the success rate for the phone? Would he still fail after pouring all 6 random points in it? With a bitter look, Su Yang shook Little Hus and woke it up. Are you sure that life evolution will happen to the phone? Little Hus glanced over at the phone. As if its mind suddenly cleared up, it looked at Su Yang and said, "Of course it will work." Su Yang looked at the husky face indifferently. "If you tell the truth now, I'll leave your body intact." Little Hus' husky face was frozen, but it insisted. "I really have the special ability to identify the potential. I know it is good stuff. You must believe me." Su Yang carefully analyzed Little Hus' words and found a trace of credibility in between the lines. Regardless, he had already invested 2 random points and increased the success rate twice, so he could not back down now. As his heart continued to bleed, Su Yang picked his phone up again and added more points to it. "Please, my dear phone. If nothing good comes out of you, I will lose big time." Chapter 43. A phone can destroy the world. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The 3rd random point was added. Beep. Point addition failed. Success rate increased for the next edition. Calm down, calm down. Success will come. But when? The 4th random point was added. Beep. Point addition failed. Success rate increased for the next edition. Su Yang had given up all hope. Failure is the mother of success. In order to succeed, one must have enough mothers, that I mean failures. The 5th random point was added. Beep. Point addition succeeded. Right, I failed again. It's fine, it's fine. I still have 1 more point. I will make it. Su Yang's soul practically left his body, but after 2 seconds of being in an absent-minded trance, he regained his senses. Ha! I did it. Su Yang looked at his phone in astonishment. He then realized that his phone had completely changed into a different model. How should I put this? It had a 100% body-to-screen ratio, whereby the screen was a black glass embedded in the body. The cameras were not visible anywhere. When he held it in his hand, it felt lighter and thinner than before. Su Yang had visited the mall to choose his phone in the past, and he had a certain level of understanding about all the phone models on the market, but he had never seen or heard of such a thin and light model. Its thickness and weight were probably half of the lightest phone out there, but the screen was a lot wider. It was a full 6-inch display to be exact. Combined with its cool black carbon body, he had 2 words to appropriately describe it. Minimalistic and impressive. It felt and looked like a super advanced phone. Su Yang played around with the phone and a little window popped up. Smartphone +1. Life evolution occurred. Acquired intermediate intellect. Materials changed. Acquired special ability. Remark. Be careful. Your phone might be able to destroy the world. After reading the description, Su Yang's 5 random points did not actually go to waste, but what did the remark mean? If I switch it on, will the world explode? There's no way that it's this scary, is it? With that in mind, Su Yang pressed the power button for a long while. The screen lit up immediately, not even taking a second to start up. A notification popped up on the screen. Switching on the phone for the first time. Please register your iris pattern and fingerprint. Su Yang tapped the Confirm button and another notification popped up. Registration complete. What? I haven't even registered anything. I didn't even do anything. Just as Su Yang thought that the dumb phone was broken, a meek voice entered his ears. Master, the light on the screen started to shrink into a circle. A little, tiny in fact, girl was squatting inside. She looked cute with her fair face and long hair. Her face was petite and her legs were long as if she was some anime character. Her long eyelashes were quivering as she shut her eyes tightly. Her lips slightly moved as she called out submissively, Master. Su Yang did not know whether the girl was calling him or not, but he answered nonetheless, yes. After his answer, the girl slowly opened her eyes. A pair of beautiful eyes that seemed as if they could speak was looking at Su Yang. She stared at him for a moment before she suddenly smiled. Master, please give Dini orders. Su Yang was astonished again. He cleared his throat awkwardly and said, Why don't you daughter my phone? Dini nodded cutely. That's right. Then, how should I make calls from now on? Dini reached her fair hands to the left and pulled something. His old phone interface came back and Dini jumped onto an app icon and pointed. Master, tap this and you can make phone calls again. Su Yang tapped on it and realized that it was really his phone as the call history had not changed at all. So, did I just get myself a mobile pet? He played around with his phone more to try to understand the changes, but other than the interface and the new little pet in his phone, it had not really changed. He asked, Dini, what can you do? Dini propped her chin on her hand and thought for a while. If you are talking about functions, there is a lot I can do. She spread her hands wide and a memo board appeared on the phone screen. She pointed at the memo and read them to Su Yang one by one. Master, you can summon me to help you in your daily life. I can directly operate everything on the phone. Master, you can also let me study more things on the internet and I will become smarter. Besides that, I have basic coding abilities and can connect to the internet like this, Tada. Dini waved her hands and the interface changed. The background image changed into a landscape portrait and the app icons were unified into a single design. They were all square now and less messy than before. Su Yang rubbed his chin as he pondered about Dini. A pet in my phone that's practically Siri. It's still a little useless. While Su Yang was complaining in his heart, little Hus hopped over. It saw Dini in the phone screen and its husky eyes grew round and big while it looked all perverted. Hey, beautiful. Hello, cutie. I'm little Hus. Dini took a glance at little Hus. Hello, bolster. I'm a dog. Dini propped her chin on her hand again. 2 seconds later, she said, I've searched the internet and you looked like every other bolster that I can see. Little Hus was rendered speechless. Su Yang could already imagine little Hus being all dejected in the corner, drawing circles on the ground with one of its bolster edges and cursing Dini. Who would have expected that little Hus cared about its species so much? It really believed that it was a dog. Little Hus continued with its perverted expression. Sure, I'm whatever you say I am, cutie. I'm a bolster from now on. Hey. Where are your principles? Su Yang did not expect little Hus to compromise this quickly. He kicked little Hus away and continued checking his phone. After he tried it out and checked it carefully, he realized that the phone had changed in a significant way. According to Dini, the phone no longer needed to be charged using common chargers. All he needed to do was put it under the sun for 30 minutes and he could get a full charge, which was equal to a week of usage. It was practically black technology that surpassed the current technological level. 3 minutes of sunshine would allow him to get on a call for 2 hours. How great was that? On top of that, Dini did not have to linger on the home page all the while. She had her own personal space. Su-young tapped on her space for a look and realized that it was a tiny duplex villa. Dini, 1, had her own room, her own bathroom, her own separate toilet, her own closet, her own living room, a dining area, and even a gym and interior swimming pool. Su-young felt like the crying face emoji at the moment. Damn, I'm jealous of my own phone pet. 1. Dini is not an AI. She is something similar to Gru and Little Hus, and is a life given by the point system. She is more like a phone spirit that cannot leave the phone. Please do not treat her like Skynet or whatever super AI like in the movies that can take over the world with enough studies. Chapter 44. Little Hus True Ability. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su-young looked around his small basement. Other than a bed and a desk, he could not fit anything else. He could not even afford a refrigerator, let alone gym equipment. All the fruits and takeaways that he ordered must be eaten on that day. Otherwise, they would go bad after a day or two in unrefrigerated conditions. The toilet was small and poorly equipped. The only good thing about it was that there was a bathing area in the corner, but to save space, the bathroom was not separated from the toilet. There was not even a glass door. Only a shabby curtain was used. He usually tucked the curtain away to make the bathroom look bigger and would only use the curtain when he bathed so that he could keep the water from splashing out. In short, the place was as pathetic as it could get. In a second glance at his phone pet's room, he felt defeated once again. The bathroom was separated from the toilet. The shower area and the bathtub were fully equipped. The bathtub looked even bigger than Su-young's entire bathroom, so how could he not be jealous? As for the other rooms of Dini's duplex villa, the living room and dining area were also separated and were undoubtedly luxurious designs. Su-young's kitchen and living room were practically the same place, and quoting the words of the landlord, this is the most fashionable open-concept kitchen design in Shanghai. Now, this open-concept kitchen was filled with all kinds of strange stuff that Su-young had gotten from adding points. Comparison was really a mood killer. Su-young tapped on the back button and exited Dini's villa. If it was out of sight, it would be out of his mind, but he was still jealous. Dini was running around Su-young's app icons while humming a melody. She checked each icon curiously before she ran to the next one. Curious, Su-young asked, "What are you checking?" Dini answered in a cute and meek voice, "Master, these apps look strange. They require a lot of permissions and they run in the background. They even start other apps on their own." Su-young was surprised. "Is that so? No wonder my phone is lagging." "Yes, they are. Besides, your system has a lot of scattered files that will affect the phone's fluency," said Dini with a nod. "Help me to clear them up," Su-young ordered. "Okay." Dini nodded. Su-young put his phone aside to let Dini do her job. He then summoned the system. The interface showed his remaining points and what he had gotten until now. Random points. 1. Bronze abilities. 2. Special items. 2. Life evolutions. 3. These were everything Su-young had. 2 bronze abilities. Elementary close combat, and elementary guitar. Playing ability. 2 special items. The fruit. Loving pen, and the lucky disfiguring brick. 3 life evolution little monsters. The withered twig Gru, the bolster Little Hus, and the phone Dini. Lastly, he had one more random point left. After completing the advanced random mission, Su-young had been rewarded with 6 random points. He got Dini with 5 random points, so he had 1 left. The fear of failing the point addition frightened him, thus he decided to keep the random point for now. His hands were not as lucky as usual today, so he ought to save the last random point for another time. After he calculated everything he got, he realized that he really had earned a lot in the past month. Apart from that, he even formed his own company to complete the silver mission, and it was starting to take shape. As long as he could succeed in the first step, he could expand his company even quicker. Earning $1 million alone might be tough, but earning $1 million through a company might be a lot easier. On top of that, a company could grow continuously, and even after he completed his silver mission, he could continue running the company and treat it as his own career. However, Su Yang had done everything he could at the moment. He must now wait for his company to take shape, so being nervous now would not do him any good. His priority at the moment should be squeezing the truth out of Little Hus. That dog sh*t lied to me. Su Yang did not only feel angry about being lied to, but he also felt ashamed because a dog or rather, a bolster, had lied to him. He went to the corner and picked Little Hus up to toss it into the pail of water in the bathroom. Little Hus struggled and screamed, "Su Yang! What is wrong with you again? Are you insane? Do you have something you want to tell me?" Su Yang did not show any emotions. Little Hus was stunned for a moment before it said, "What? I don't have anything to tell you." Su Yang stormed to his desk and grabbed a pair of scissors. He waved the pair of scissors in front of Little Hus and said, "I'll count to 3. If you can't think of anything to tell me, I'll cut your cotton out." Little Hus was terrified. Do you think a dog will be afraid of a pair of lame scissors? 3. Little Hus continued to struggle. I'm not afraid of your scissors. 2. Little Hus turned pale. Su Yang. Su Yang, my friend. Please don't do this. Aren't we best friends? Su Yang knew it was trying to pull the "a dog is man's best friend" excuse again, so he did not even care. 1. The moment his voice subsided, the pair of scissors dove down toward the bolster mercilessly. Right before the sharp edge pierced its soft skin, Little Hus opened its mouth wide and screamed for its life as its husky face finally looked terrified. Okay. Okay. I'll talk. I'll talk. I tried to tear your house down the other day because I got bored. I tried to blame it on that dumb twig and made it angry, so it transformed. It's me. It's me. The scissors stopped right in front of Little Hus. Su Yang listened to its dreadful screaming and he grunted coldly, I guessed as much. Tell me something I don't know. Little Hus continued shrieking, nothing. Nothing. No more, what's your true ability? Little Hus quickly recovered its composure and said carefully, I can sniff out the potential of an item. I can know whether it will receive life evolution or not. Su Yang put 3 fingers up in front of Little Hus. You have changed the description of your ability 3 times now. I'll give you one last chance. He waved the scissors in front of Little Hus. Little Hus did not see any expression on Su Yang's face. It also remembered how merciless he had been when he tried to cut its cotton out. It gulped nervously and said, okay, I'll talk. Su Yang responded with a grin as if he knew that Little Hus would eventually give in. Little Hus gulped again and said, I actually don't have the ability to know which item has the potential to go through life evolution. I can actually sniff out opportunities. Chapter 45. Dini has superpowers too. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Sniff out opportunities. Su Yang did not show any expression on his face, but his interest was piqued. Little Hus nodded carefully. It glanced over at Su Yang and then at the scissors. It shrunk its neck cowardly and said, my nose is really sharp. I can sniff wherever there's a chance or an opportunity. Don't repeat yourself and skip to the point, Su Yang demanded. Little Hus shortened its neck tighter. That's the point. What do you mean? I only know I have this ability. I don't know anything else. Su Yang was speechless. No wonder this B*** keeps the details vague and keeps changing his excuse, he didn't even know what this is about. So you picked up the scent of an opportunity on my phone, asked Su Yang. Little Hus shook its head, no. Su Yang was dumbfounded. Little Hus' neck almost shrunk into its body. I am actually using your phone as a mirror and I realized I am really handsome, so I giggled. But you mocked me, so I got mad and kinda tricked you. This piece of doggy B** really does it this time. I almost wasted 5 random points because of it. Su Yang glared at the husky bolster and asked fiercely, what if I failed adding the points? Are you not afraid that I get mad and skin you alive to make you into a burger? Little Hus said meekly, I'm a bolster, I don't have any meat in me. Are you not afraid that I cut your cottons out? Little Hus said meekly again, yes. I'm afraid. I've been living in constant fear in the past few days. What gives you the balls to lie to me? Asked Su Yang. I actually didn't pick up a scent at first, but after you added the first point, I picked up the scent of an opportunity. That's why I was bold enough to ask you to continue. Su Yang rubbed his chin. After I added the first point. Little Hus nodded vigorously. Yes. It didn't have a scent at first, but after the first scent, it smelled great. And as you added more points, its scent grew stronger. I'm sure the phone has a big opportunity, but I don't know what you will get from adding points, its voice growing softer as it explained. It obviously knew it had done something wrong this time. Su Yang did not show any reaction on his face. He thought about it for a while before he warned Little Hus fiercely, this is the first and the last time. If you dare to lie to me again, I'll rip your cotton out. Do you hear me? Bedodem, I hear you, answered Little Hus as its neck continued to shorten. Even though Su Yang accepted Little Hus' explanation, he did not forgive the little B***. He ordered the husky bolster to clean the basement floor 10 times. With its body. Little Hus dared not argue anymore since its life was spared. It obediently jumped into the pail, soaking itself wet before it started to clean the floor clumsily with its body. The punishment was never about the goal, it was about the process. Su Yang realized that he was too friendly to these, life evolution, items, so they almost climbed up to his head. He ought to set some rules and let them know who was boss in the house. And by setting rules, he meant setting the rules just for Little Hus. Gru and Dini were still obedient for the time being. Su Yang pondered about Little Hus' ability as he walked out of the bathroom. Since the system had hinted about Little Hus' special ability to him back then, Su Yang did not suspect the husky bolster having a true ability. However, because the system had not made it clear and Little Hus did not know anything about it, Su Yang had to analyze the ability himself. He named Little Hus' ability, Opportunity Sniffing. The ability could sniff out opportunities in a certain range. These opportunities could be anything such as the opportunity to get rich, the opportunity to fall in love, or something as simple as an opportunity that would benefit himself. It was totally random and he had no idea how to identify the opportunities. How great of an opportunity it was would depend on the density of the scent. In short, it was something that was based on luck. It could only identify opportunities that would benefit him though he did not know where and what. At least, it's better than nothing. Su Yang did not have high hopes for these abilities from the life evolution, anyway. They were born into this world from nothing and that fact alone was magical enough. After he got a hold of Little Hus' true ability, he suddenly thought of his new phone from the points addition process, Dini. The system did state that Dini had special abilities, so what abilities would she have then? Su Yang picked up his new phone and unlocked it. Dini was not on the home page, so she must have returned to her private space. He tapped on the screen. Dini. A little head popped up from the left immediately after his voice subsided. Her big eyes blinked at Su Yang innocently while her cuteness was overflowing. Su Yang skipped to the point right away. You should have some special abilities, don't you? Do you know what they are? Special abilities. Dini propped her chin on her hand again and thought with furrowed brows. He realized that she liked to prop her chin on her hand. After a little over 10 seconds, an exclamation mark popped up above Dini's head and she flashed a heartwarming smile. Ah, I know. While Su Yang was looking at her, she blinked and said with a smile, Master, my ability is my private space. Private space. Su Yang knew that the private space that Dini mentioned was her duplex villa that she had shown him early. That place is her special ability. Dini nodded strongly. Yes. That's my special ability. My private space exists in a space between reality and the virtual world. Things from the outside world can be converted into electronic signals and enter the phone, whereas everything in here can be materialized into the real world as well. Of course, Master, you can also transform into electronic signals and come in here. Su Yang was utterly shocked. Are you saying that I can come into your little villa? Dini nodded again. Yup. This place is real after all. Su Yang could not control the widening grin on his face. Try to bring me in. Okay, Master. Dini nodded. A notification popped up on his phone. Enter the private space. Yes/no, only an idiot would choose no. Su Yang tapped on yes without a second thought. Right away, a blue light shone from the phone and enveloped Su Yang whole. His sight turned black all of a sudden, and when he regained his sight, he was already inside a room that was more than 40 square meters wide. The whole room was decorated minimally. It was mainly in gray, garnished with white. The dark gray floor and the shallow gray walls plus the modern paintings on the walls made the place look modern. There was a layer of carpet on the floor that looked simple yet hospitable. Further away was a sofa set and opposite it was a 70-inch flat-screen television. Since Su Yang did have a look at Dini's villa, he knew that he was in the living room on the first floor. I came in. Despite being inside the space, he could not believe what he saw and what he felt. Does this mean that this room and this villa belong to me now? Chapter 46. Where did the signal come from? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Su Yang pinched his cheek. It hurt. He could even feel pain in this digital space. This whole place felt exactly like the real world. While Su Yang was analyzing the space, a dash of blue mosaic flitted past his sight and a girl slowly walked out of it. She was around 160 centimeters tall. She was wearing a Japanese high school uniform which gave her the quality for the girl next door, and her presence was easygoing. She floated in the air quietly with her feet 5 to 6 centimeters off the ground as if she was pure and free from the filth and dirt of society. Master, Dini meekly called Su Yang, stopping him from sizing her up. Su Yang regained his senses. I came in. Dini flew around Su Yang and said, Yes. How do you feel inside here, Master? It's cool. Su Yang nodded. Dini then brought him on a tour around the villa. Every room and decoration in the villa was exactly like how he saw it through his phone. Su Yang was like Granny Lu visiting the Grand View Garden. He was overwhelmed by the place. This villa was almost twice as big as Tang Jing's villa in real life, but on second thought, Su Yang found it reasonable. How big must the villa be to house an interior swimming pool anyway? After the tour around the villa, the first thought that came into Su Yang's mind was how much would he earn if he sold the villa. He might never have to worry about money for the rest of his life anymore. Dini propped her chin on her hand as she thought for a while. Then, she said, Master, I just went on the internet and did some research. This villa would cost around 10 million to 35 million yuan. How much? Su Yang was shocked by the astronomical figure. Holy sh**t. He smirked as he looked around the villa. I've somehow become a millionaire. The world is really strange. Master, wake up. Master. Dini shook Su Yang's arm strongly, trying to wake him up from his daydream. Su Yang quickly regained his senses. He had to clear his throat to cover his embarrassment. He was actually just fantasizing about the better side of things. He could not sell this place or tell anyone about it anyway. The most he could do with the villa was stay in it and fantasize. After all, it was not wrong and did not cost a cent. Besides, he could carry the villa wherever he went. Other than a snail, what else could carry their own house around? Therefore, the value of this villa was immeasurable. If he placed this villa in New York's Times Square or somewhere in Beijing, he could easily fetch a few $100,000,000. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, Su Yang picked up the remote control. As he switched the channels, he asked Dini, who sat down beside him, "Dini, I remember you saying that I can take anything out of this space, right? Can I take the TV?" "Why? Yes, master, you can actually take it out," Dini said in an awkward tone. Su Yang saw the dumbstruck expression on her face. He smiled and patted her shoulder. "Don't worry, I'm just joking. I'm not a robber. I don't take everything I see." Dini averted her gaze and dared not answer verbally, but in her heart, she criticized him, "Taking away the stuff in this villa the moment you step in. You are scarier than a robber." After she reprimanded him in her heart, Dini explained some of the rules regarding this pocket space. "Master, if you have anything that you want to put in here, just scan it like how you scan a QR code. If you want to take something out, take the item from your phone screen and it will pop out. Dovico, the same goes for people. If you want to bring someone in, scan them, and tap on them if you want to expel them. On top of that, other than the default items in this space, the other items will not regenerate, so you must bring them in from the real world, which means that you must bring food and drinks in by yourself." Su Yang nodded. "What about clean water?" "The villa has storage for power and water. When you charge your phone, you will be charging the power storage for the villa. The villa shares the same power as the phone. As for the storage water, at default, it can store 10 gallons of water and provide up to a month and a half of usage for 2 packs. If you want to refill the water, just put the phone into some water or scan the water. Besides that, the villa has a perfect multi-filter system that guarantees most of the water sources are safe to use and drink." Su Yang gave a big thumbs up. "Cool." After the approval, he added a question, "What about you? If I tap on you, will you be able to go out?" Dini thought for a while before she shook her head. "I can't. At least, not for now." Su Yang continued watching the TV after he got a general idea of how the villa worked. Ever since he moved to Shanghai, he had never watched TV before and it had been half a year. He laid back on the sofa and enjoyed the show, immediately feeling at home. This villa was much more comfortable than his own basement. Dini sat beside him to accompany him. Her eyes were glued to the TV, but her chin was propped on her hand while her gaze seemed a little out of focus. Su Yang knew she was not watching the TV and was actually surfing the net. A quick glance at her reminded Su Yang about something. "Oh right, Dini, how does the villa get the TV signal?" Dini came out from her absent-minded state and looked at him. "It's not a cable television signal. It's actually the 4G signal." A bad feeling rose in Su Yang's heart. Where did the 4G come from? Dini looked at him with a confused look. "It's from your SIM card, master. It has 4G signal." Su Yang's face turned pale. "You aren't using my phone signal to surf the net, learn things, and search for information, are you?" She nodded. "I'm your phone. Of course, I am surfing the net with your SIM card." Su Yang gulped nervously. "Show me my phone interface." Dini raised her hand and a floating interface of Su Yang's phone popped up. He spotted the red 5 on his message notification, which meant that he had 4 unread messages. His hand was trembling when he tapped on it. The 4 messages were actually from his telco company, 10086 Mobile. Dear user, there is only 100 megabytes remaining in your package data. Dear user, your package data has exceeded 1000 megabytes. Dear user, your credit balance is 7.82 yuan. Please top up in time. Dear user, you have been enjoying an extra 50 yuan credit limit in advance because you are a 3-star customer. Su Yang's heart was bleeding. *T. I've overused my quota. I should have at least 100 yuan left in my phone credit. Does your home have a gold mine, Su Yang? Look at how much data you've used. You didn't just watch TV. You even let Dini surf for all kinds of information online. Don't you know that mobile data is the most expensive thing ever? If I didn't stop this in time, you might have to sell your newly acquired villa to cover the cost, he scolded himself in his mind. Chapter 47. Old Sixth Lu Who Walks a Dog Leash. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With that in mind, Su Yang quickly picked up the remote control and switched the TV off. Dini asked with her cute and meek voice beside him, Master, you are done watching? Yeah, I'm done. And you aren't allowed to surf the internet without my permission from now on. Dini sulked. But the internet is fun and colorful. What am I supposed to do if I can't surf the net? When Su Yang saw how sad she was when he forbade her from surfing the net, he could not stand her pitiful and cute expression. Some thoughts later, he said, okay, fine, you can surf the net, but you can only use 30 megabytes per day, nothing more than that. 30 megabytes is only enough for me to see a few pictures. Dini argued. Noticing Dini starting to pout, he said, okay, fine, stop pouting. I'll install broadband in the next 2 days, so you'll be able to use it as much as you want then. Really? Dini was over the moon. Su Yang nodded. Send me out first. I have something to take care of. Right after he got out of the villa, the first thing Su Yang did was pick up his phone and try to top up the credit. However, what he was afraid of eventually happened since it was just a matter of time. When Su Yang keyed in his own phone number and wanted to top up 100 yuan, the 4G icon at the upper right corner of his phone had already disappeared. He did not even get to press the send button. Su Yang's payment interface immediately turned into a not connected display. At the same time, Dini's voice came from the phone, Master, the phone seems to have gone offline. You don't say. Su Yang sighed. He immediately called 10086 Mobile and learned that he owed the telco 50.2 yuan. His telco had stopped his service right after he exceeded the quota. Maybe the telco was not interested in the user's villa or whatsoever. However, topping up credit was a troublesome process. In the age of the internet, convenience was one of the biggest improvements in human life, but its downside was also obvious. Due to its convenience, everything would be brought to a standstill once the user went offline or could not receive a signal. For example, there were many newspaper stands and grocery stores that provided top-up services a few years back, but now, everyone started topping up their phone via the internet. While it was undoubtedly convenient, nowadays, there were no longer any offline places for topping up phone credit. Su Yang did not have Wi-Fi or broadband installed in his basement. Furthermore, he did not know his neighbors. This is going to be a problem. Su Yang lay on the desk, trying to figure out a way to solve the sticky situation. Little Hus was still clumsily cleaning the floor with its body. Su Yang looked at the husky bolster. Little Hus, how many rounds have you cleaned the floor? The husky picture on the bolster gave him a rare flattering expression. This is the 3rd round. Only the 3rd round. The flattery on Little Hus' face immediately faded. I see you are getting tired. Why don't we switch to another place for you, and you just need to clean the place once. How about that? Little Hus' eyes widened and its husky head nodded vigorously. Sure. 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 Su Yang took his phone out, tapped on the camera, and scanned Little Hus using the newly added scan feature. The blue light came out from the back of the phone and started scanning Little Hus whole. A moment later, Little Hus was transformed into a bunch of pixels and was sucked into the phone together with the blue light. Su Yang tapped the personal space and found Little Hus inside. He smiled and said, "Little Hus, you just need to clean the place once." Little Hus looked up at the large villa with 3 big living spaces and many rooms. There were even doors along the corridors and a flight of stairs leading to the second floor. It screamed, "Su Yang. We aren't done here." After he finished bullying Little Hus, Su Yang decided to ask the guard at the entrance of his neighborhood to help him top up his phone credit. He only knew 3 people in his own neighborhood: Chu Xiaoming, Old Sixth Lu, and the guard. Su Yang did not want to see Chu Xiaoming, and Old Sixth Lu did not want to see him. Only the guard had a better relationship with him and he could easily locate the guard. With that in mind, he pocketed his phone and got out of his basement. Su Yang planned it out perfectly. Unfortunately, there were always unexpected matters in the world that went beyond man's control. The guard, who never left early or late and would always be at his post, was not in the guardhouse. Su Yang waited at the entrance for 10 minutes but did not see the guard anywhere. Defeated, he prepared to return to his basement. To his surprise, before he reached home, he saw someone walking towards him with an empty dog leash. "Yo, isn't this Old Sixth Lu? Since I can't get to the guard, I can just borrow Old Sixth Lu's phone to top up my own." With that in mind, Su Yang waved and greeted the man, "Hey, Brother Six, walking your dog I see." Old Sixth Lu's face turned black when he saw Su Yang. He instinctively wanted to avoid the young man but was afraid that Su Yang would beat him up again, so he was forced to nod in silence. As a street gangster who was afraid of getting a beating from a university student, even Old Sixth Lu felt pity for himself. Su Yang did not have much thought about Old Sixth Lu upon seeing him. After all, he was the victor and was mentally stronger, so he asked, "Brother Six, do you have money in your phone?" Right after the question, Old Sixth Lu instinctively took a step back and said righteously, "Su Yang. Robbing is against the law. The government is starting to eradicate criminal activities all over the country. Don't cross the line now." Su Yang was rendered speechless. Did we swap identities? Who's the gangster and who's the good citizen here? He awkwardly cleared his throat. "Brother Six, don't overreact, please. I just wanted to borrow your phone to top mine up. I'll return you the money when I reactivate my phone." Old Sixth Lu blushed and did not refuse to help since his instinctive reaction had been too embarrassing. He took his phone out and asked, "What's your phone number?" Su Yang uttered his phone number. Old Sixth Lu opened up Alipay and topped up 20 yuan for him. When Su Yang saw the credit in his phone, he said, "Brother, can you top up more for me? I owe the telco 50 yuan. Old Sixth Lu blushed, feeling even more embarrassed than before. "My wife tightened my leash recently, so 20 yuan is all I have as pocket money." Su Yang remembered that Old Sixth Lu was a well-known henpecked husband. That fact was even better known than his street gangster identity. He had always been the topic of gossip of the uncles and aunts in the neighborhood. Su Yang waved and said, "Never mind. You are having a hard time yourself." He was a 3-star customer of his telco anyway, so as long as the debt did not exceed 50 yuan, he could use this phone normally. He would just have to top up more credits on his own later. Su Yang took his phone out and habitually wanted to restart it. That was the downside with the mobile data. If it was cut off, the phone must be restarted to be able to receive signals again. However, when his finger touched the power button, a chat message popped up on his phone. "Master, we are back online. Ha! Is the new phone this magical?" Su Yang tested out the signal and mobile data. It really worked. Show me your QR code. I'll transfer the money back. Su Yang was a trustworthy person whenever money was involved. Old Sixth Lu opened up his Alipay QR code and waited for Su Yang to scan it. The man must have thought that Su Yang was robbing him. While the two of them were transferring money, a man and a lady were walking side by side in the other corner of the neighborhood. The lady was less than 160 centimeters tall. She had a doll-like face and her eyes and her brows resembled the man beside her. On the other hand, the man was over 180 centimeters tall, and he looked bright and handsome. Chu Xiaomeng, I've delivered the message from mom and she's made herself clear. You must bring back a boyfriend by the year end. Otherwise, even if you flee to Hangzhou, she will catch you herself. Chapter 48. Can your dog become invisible? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Xiaomeng sulked. Can you stop nagging? You nag even more than our aunt. If you weren't my big sister, I wouldn't have cared about you. The man grunted coldly. Chu Xiaomeng glared at him. When we were young, you said I'm not your sister. You insisted I was adopted. He pouted. That's because you are dumb. You were 7 years old then, so why would you believe a 3-year-old's lies and live with it? Chu Xiaomeng remembered how she had cried badly when her brother told her that she was adopted. She blushed and squealed, Chu Xiaomeng. The man was shocked. He quickly covered Chu Xiaomeng's mouth and looked around cautiously. How many times did I tell you not to call me by my real name outside? I've changed my name and I'm Chu Xian now. Chu Xiaomeng pulled Chu Xian's hand away and screamed, I like to call you by your name. Chu Xiaoming. Chu Xiaoming. Chu Xian looked at his sister helplessly, he kept looking around cautiously, as though he was afraid others might hear his real name. Then, he saw Su Yang and old Sixth Lu. He pointed at them and said, Look. What are they doing? It seems like some shady deal is going on. Immediately distracted, Chu Xiaomeng looked at where her little brother pointed and saw Su Yang and old Sixth Lu together. Ha! Isn't that Su Yang? Ha! Isn't that the drunkard that held me back that day? Why are they together? Chu Xian actually just wanted to divert the topic, but he realized that his sister kept looking at the two. Curious, he started to ask, You, shut up. Chu Xiaomeng tugged her brother's arm and signed him to keep quiet with her finger. She forced him to bend over and walk closer quietly. She watched Su Yang talking to old Sixth Lu. Old Sixth Lu then took his phone out before Su Yang used his to scan old Sixth Lu's phone. It really looked like they were performing some secret deal. Chu Xiaomeng's brows were tightly furrowed as she spied on them. Su Yang knows that drunkard. Judging from how they are interacting, they seem to know each other quite well. Was that damsel in distress the other night just a show? Chu Xiaomeng recalled how the brick had flown out from the darkness accurately. Can it be? If he killed his partner in the show, how many partners must he go through within a year? Or did Su Yang go down the wrong path and started to mix around with the drunkard? Or was it because of me? Her brows were locked tightly. No matter which it was, Su Yang seemed to have gone down the wrong path. No, I must save him. Chu Xian glanced at his sister from the side and then looked over at the two who were performing a trade. He automatically turned a blind eye to the middle-aged man who was walking a dog leash instead of a dog. He might be a crazy person. As for the other young man, he was quite tall, and his sister was staring at him. Could it be? Dear mother, I might be able to complete the mission you gave me after all. After the transfer, Su Yang thanked old Sixth Lu whose face was as black as charcoal. Even though he had just helped Su Yang, he did not want to get close to the young man. He nodded and dragged his dog leash away. Su Yang noticed the leash. A quick thought later, he asked, Brother Six, isn't your dog a little too small? It's not. It's a Labrador, Old Sixth Lu answered without looking back. Can it turn invisible? Su Yang asked. If Old Sixth Lu did not know what Su Yang was asking about, he might really have been an idiot. He turned around and screamed, "Holy sh**t. Where's my wife's dog?" His face turned red. Did you see my dog? Su Yang shook his head. When I saw you, you were already walking with the leash. Then, why did you ask me whether I was walking my dog or not? What else can you do with a dog leash in the middle of the night if not walking your dog? Hang yourself with it. Old Sixth Lu angrily stomped his foot. He believed that Su Yang was the bane to his life. He did not have the mood to fool around with Su Yang anymore. The dog was his wife's and it held a higher status than him in the house. If he really lost the dog, his wife might really punch him to death. With that in mind, Old Sixth Lu dragged the leash and ran towards where he came from. He screamed his dog's name as he searched for it, Sivan. Sivan. Where are you? Su Yang's face twitched. Old Sixth Lu really loved money so much that he even named his dog Sivan. Su Yang headed home while humming a melody. After topping up his phone credit and ensuring that it was sufficient, he then called Dini out for a good talk. He told her that if it was on mobile data, she was not allowed to surf the internet. Only after the phone was connected to a Wi-Fi source was she allowed to surf as much as she wanted. As Dini agreed, she realized that a new ability had been unlocked. After Su Yang typed his Alipay password for the top up, she was also granted access, so she offered to top up the phone credit on behalf of Su Yang and she could even pay for other stuff. Su Yang immediately stopped her dangerous offer. Who knew what would happen if Dini was granted access to pay with his money? Would she spend all his fortune on topping up credit? Dini gave in to him with a sulky expression. In the next few days, Su Yang drowned himself in work. He had just formed his company, and there was a lot of work that he needed to settle and coordinate. Even if he engaged an agent for the registration, he still had to confirm his company's range of operations. Su Yang also met Wang Dong and filtered the tasks they got from Junqing intermediary. In the end, they took 5 jobs, all of which were simple event jobs with great profits. The first one was the property event on Saturday. Su Yang and Wang Dong themselves would lead the students to get a grasp of the procedures. The second one was being Han Yi's fake fans on the next Saturday. That event required more people, so the price was higher and the profit better. As for the remaining 3, they were more or less similar jobs and they were all happening in the upcoming weeks. Wang Dong's experience and network were also slowly showing. Originally, the property job on Saturday needed 20 people and 100 yuan would be paid to each of them. Plus the company's 20% commission, that would be 120 yuan each, but because of Wang Dong's connection, he got a long-term working rate of 130 yuan. As for Han Yi's event, the rate also rose from 150 yuan to 175 yuan. The rest of the jobs also had lucrative rates. Even if they paid each student 90 to 100 yuan, the company would still earn a lot. If all 5 jobs were completed, Han Yi's event alone would earn them 7,500 yuan in commission, and the rest of the jobs combined could earn them 3,000 yuan. The company was only half a month old, but their profit would easily reach 5 figures. A quick calculation later, Wang Dong even felt a little jealous. He did not expect that forming a private company would earn them this much. Su Yang consoled him, Han Yi's event is a rare one. The other jobs are much more normal. 3,000 a week, 12k a month. Your salary is 6,200 a month plus commission. The company doesn't even earn as much as you. Furthermore, I still have to pay tax. Wang Dong felt a lot better when he heard Su Yang's explanation. The numbers added up as well. Wang Dong's job barely held any risk while Su Yang, who ran the company, had to bear all the risks. Su Yang did not lie to Wang Dong. The company was still fresh and they were able to make over 5 figures in sales a month with a few thousand yuan in clean profit, which was almost a 40% increase in their profit margin. It was a great start and the figure was better than what a lot of the startups out there would make. Next, they would have to grow the scale of their business step by step, recruit new members, and slowly progress to the next stage. Developing the company was never a 1 or 2 men job. The company's true asset was its employees. Personal development might present a rising curve in growth, but the development of a company had to rely on countless employees' hard work to reach exponential growth. Chapter 49. Your friend's circle exploded. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang had planned the roadmap for his company properly. The first 2 weeks should be spent adapting to the operations since it was not suitable for him to expand the business yet, so he only accepted weekend jobs. In order to reduce the odds of something bad happening, he and Wang Dong would take shifts to lead the part-timers in executing their job just so they could control the situation and filter the candidates. After the first 2 weeks, he would choose several honest and hard-working students among the part-timers and appoint them as team leaders to lead the others. A long-term contract would also be provided to the team leaders. In the future, the team leaders would take his and Wang Dong's place to guide the new part-timers. Only then could Su Yang and Wang Dong spare themselves from the basic operations of the company. Wang Dong was in charge of 2 things. First, he was responsible for contacting Junqing intermediary and liaise with them for more job selections. Second, he had to search for more companies to work with, which also meant that he had to search for other clients other than Junqing as backup and as a way to expand their reach to other companies. Su Yang was in charge of expanding the group of students. He had to increase the number of available part-timers so that he could accept more jobs. According to Su Yang's calculation, his faculty alone had more than 5,000 students, 100 to 200 of which worked part-time constantly. Sometimes, there would be 500 to 600 of them during semester break. If he could recruit all of them into his company's operation line, he could arrange 2 jobs a week for the long-term part-timers and 1 job a fortnight for the other students. Using 130 yuan per head as a reference, Su Yang's company would achieve 260,000 to 270,000 yuan sales per month with a net profit of nearly 80,000 yuan. Excluding all the miscellaneous fees, the net profit would surely be above 65,000 yuan, which was a considerably large amount. If he could expand to the entire campus or even all the universities in Shanghai, a monthly profit of over 1 million would not be a problem. Of course, that was just an ideal calculation. As the number of part-timers increased, the company's manpower and operation fees must also increase. However, this would certainly be an untapped market. Moreover, Su Yang also thought of the company's future. This company was just the first of many projects in his grand future plans. Other than getting himself the initial capital, the company's goal was to raise the first batch of users for him. His grand future plan was to build an empire that had businesses all over Huaxia. It was finally Saturday, and the first job for the company was due. The job was to pretend to be potential clients for a property event. Su Yang and Wang Dong brought the 20 students there themselves. The job went well. Su Yang leveraged on the students in the chat groups beforehand and informed them about some of the tricks and keywords, so the 20 students performed quite well. The sales manager of the property company was suspicious at first, but halfway throughout the job, he gave Su Yang a big thumbs up and promised to even contact them for the next job. Su Yang exchanged contacts with the sales manager. Whether or not the sales manager was just trying to be polite, he was still the first potential client. After the job with the property company, Su Yang and Wang Dong headed to Junqing Intermediary to settle the remaining fees. He also signed a draft contract for Han Yi's event. The reason why it was a draft contract was that Su Yang's company was still under processing and would only be ready next week. By then, Su Yang would bring the company stamp over to complete a formal agreement as well as the framework for a year. Long agreement with Junqing Intermediary. The framework agreement was an effective contract. Both companies signed to commit to a year of cooperation, and regardless of how many times they worked together throughout the year, as long as there was a signed and stamped invoice, it would be protected by law. It could also effectively reduce the trivial procedures between their multiple collaborations. After he got the money, Su Yang distributed the payment to the part-timers. He had 400 yuan left while 40 yuan belonged to Wang Dong, so the remaining 360 yuan was the profit from the job. It was by no means much, but it was a good start. When he got home at night, he lay on his bed and started to figure out a way to save costs and increase the profit. As he pondered about it, he suddenly thought of Han Yi's event. An online artist might need fake fans, but could he somehow find some of Han Yi's real fans in his course? If he could get real Han Yi's fans to pose as fake fans, could he save on the payment to the students? Even better, he could charge both sides and create more income for the company. No matter how he calculated, he might be able to earn 200 yuan per head. However, he discarded the thought soon enough. If this fake fan event with Han Yi was organized by the management company, it was very likely because Han Yi had a fanatic fanbase that was uncontrollable, hence the company decided to get fake fans to keep the situation under control. Therefore, in order to exercise control over these potential candidates and make sure they followed orders, he could not ask the fans to pay for the event. He must tell them it was a free event so that they listened to his order. Su Yang believed it was workable. Nevertheless, he had to first find out whether Han Yi had real fans or not. How? By doing market research. Su Yang posted a status in his friend circle. I might have a chance to see Han Yi next week. Are there any Han Yi fans? It was simple and brief. Even though he barely had any reference, Su Yang believed he would be able to tell how popular she was with the fans and how great her review was. After posting the status, he tossed his phone aside and had an apple. When he came back, before he even unlocked his phone, Dini's voice rang out, "Master. Your friend's circle has exploded." Exploded. He picked up his phone and Dini automatically showed him his friend's circle. In less than 5 minutes, Su Yang had received 15 notifications from his friend's circle. He tapped on them. Other than some random likes, the rest of them were comments on his status. Me. I'm a fan. Here. Han Yi's fan here. I really admire her. My hand is raised. Even the straight-outta student, Li Runs, left a comment, are you also a fan of Han Yi? As expected of a straight-outta student, the also that he included in his sentence was beautiful. It showed that he was Han Yi's fan and was also searching for someone who shared the same thoughts, similar to how Mr. Lu Sun had described the two jujube trees. 1. The approaches might be different, but they all contributed towards the same goal. It seems like there are a lot of Han Yi's fans. Su Yang was more confident in his plan now. The next day, he spent his time searching for Han Yi's fans. The process was a boring one since he had to verify them one by one after all and promote the job in all the other chat groups. However, whenever he added a candidate to his list, Su Yang muttered, 100 yuan. It boosted his motivation to work harder. As he continued to search for Han Yi's fans, he filtered out the 20 part-timers who took part in the property viewing job with him. He picked 10 out of 20 of them and assigned them as team leaders. At the price of the job, which was 150 yuan per day, he asked them to find more fans and gather all the fan support. His work sped up exponentially, and in the end, the registered number of candidates reached more than 130 people. It was the first time Su Yang had a general idea about Han Yi's fanbase. Of course, some of them might just want to see the artist or be there for the show. Su Yang arranged his time and met the 10 team leaders to brief them about the job. He then assigned them to take care of their own team members and promised to prioritize their part-time job applications the next time. Soon, after the initial selection, a fan group of 100 members was founded. After settling everything, Su-young went into the personal space and took a bath, enjoying the weekend life that he had never experienced before. Dini was busy doing something outside the villa. While he took his bath, he chatted with Dini, who did not seem to have an idea about what she was doing. "Dini, can you be like those AI in the movies and hack the bank server? Can you increase the figures in my savings account?" 1. This refers to Lu Sun's literary work, Autumn Night. Chapter 50. The door and windows that can't be opened. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dini propped her chin on her hand outside the door. "Master, you only have a single bank card bound to your phone and that card balance is 0. Even if you add more digits to it, it's still 0. Dini, you are such a conversation killer." Su-young changed his approach. "Then, can you hack other people's phones or a company server?" This time around, Dini was quick with her reply, "I can't. If I could, I would have topped up the phone credit by myself." He adjusted his posture in the bathtub. "I guess the A.I.s in the movies are much better than you." Dini propped her chin on her hand again, just about to search the net about A.I.s in movies and how they should behave, but Su-young quickly halted her. "Stop. Don't surf the net. I just got myself a new data package." She put her hand down. "Master, I searched on Baidu and Wiki. I'm not an AI, I'm the phone itself." Su-young acted like nothing happened and played with the water. "Everything written in Wiki are lies, you are an AI." "Am I?" Dini's big round eyes showed confusion. She instinctively wanted to prop her chin and search the net again, but Su-young already stopped her from doing it, so she was clueless about whether Su-young was correct or wrong. After his bath, Su-young put on the bathrobe and walked out. Dini obediently went in to release the bathtub water and cleaned it. Su-young happily headed to the bedroom Dini prepared for him. At first, Dini wanted to give Su-young the master bedroom, but Su-young believed since he was her master, there was no need for him to take her room for himself. Of course, the other reason was that Dini's room was pink and as girlish as it could get. Su-young felt like a little princess when he walked in. Therefore, in order to remind himself that he was still a man, Su-young decided to sleep in the other bedroom. The villa had 3 bedrooms and a study room. Su-young picked the second biggest bedroom that was almost 40 square meters large. It has an independent toilet as well. It was 10 times better than Su-young's basement back in the real world. Su-young decided to move his stuff into the villa step by step. This place would be his house in the future. As for his rented basement, he still had 2 more months left in the contract, so he might as well finish it. If he did not have enough money, then he would move out again. As he walked to his bedroom while humming a melody, Su-young suddenly realized something. This villa was equipped with windows and doors, but all of them were shut. Su-young went to his bedroom and checked the window. The glass on the window was opaque, so when he put his face near the glass, he could not even see through it. Then, he tried opening it but failed. "Is this window a decoration?" Dini. Dini. Su-young returned to the bathroom and saw Dini scrubbing the bathtub attentively. "Are all the windows and doors in the villa locked?" Dini's cute face revealed a blank expression. A while later, she shook her head. "I don't know. Should the doors and windows be opened?" Su-young did not know how to answer her. "I really should let Dini surf the net. This girl sure feels like a retard without mobile data. Tomorrow I'll sign up for an unlimited package and then get broadband." As for why should he not do it right away, he was simply procrastinating. Su-young explained the function of a door and a window to Dini. After she learned what they were used for, she felt curious as well. It really is locked. I wonder why." The two of them tried opening every window in the rooms, but they realized that all the windows were the same. All of them were made of opaque glass. During the day, the light would come through the window and bask the room with warmth. At night, the light would slowly fade and the lights at the ceiling would turn on automatically. As for the door, there was only one door in the living room, but both Su-young and Dini could not even make it budge no matter how hard they pulled or pushed. How strange. Su-young had a feeling that beyond the door was a secret, but both he and Dini were not qualified to find out about it yet. Besides, Su-young believed that brute strength was not the key to open the door because not only were he and Dini were pulling or pushing, but even Gru was summoned to transform to help. Nonetheless, the door did not even budge. While the three of them were drenched in sweat, Little Hus hopped over to the three of them. "What are you guys doing, playing tug-of-war? More like tugging the door." Little Hus stared at Su-young with its signature husky death stare. "What? Tugging the door? That's what I'm good at." Su-young was silenced by Little Hus' shameless approach. "Come on. Why didn't you invite me to play? Tugging doors are fun." Little Hus stared at Su-young again with its death stare as if he had stepped on its tail. Su-young kicked Little Hus in the face. "Shut up." Looking at the immovable door, Su-young believed that he must meet some requirements before he could open the door and that the requirements revolved mostly around Dini. Maybe as Dini grew, she might have the ability to open this door and the windows. What's beyond the door and the windows? With that question in mind, Su-young fell asleep for the first time in the villa. On the morning of the second day, after he washed up and returned to his basement in the real world, he felt like crap. People used to say that it was easy for the frugal to be extravagant, though it was very hard to reverse the process. Su-young was finally experiencing it himself. He had just slept in the villa for a night, and when he saw his basement again, it felt like a messed up lair of some sort. With a sigh, he looked at the timetable on his desk. He had only one class today, which was advanced mathematics. The lecturer was Ms. Yuan from the Faculty of Information. That woman was a narrow-minded one, so it would be best for him to be on time for the lecture. He grabbed his books and his bag before he headed out. Before he entered the campus, he saw a big banner at the gate. Celebrating the first and successful Shanghai University campus singing competition. Damn, does a singing competition organized by 3 universities need this much exposure? Must it be this grand? If the universities had the time and money to hold such a competition, they might as well throw in some prize money, and Su-young would have joined. As he criticized how stingy the organizer was, he walked into the campus. Along the way, he heard a few groups of students discussing the competition. It seemed like the exposure of the competition had exploded. Most of the students lived in the campus dorms, but Su-young lived outside the campus. Therefore, he might not get first-hand news about what had happened over the weekend. A group of 3 girls walked towards him. They were discussing the changes in the singing competition. "Did you guys hear? The organizer invited Han Yi." "Han Yi? Oh my gosh. I really like her. Han Yi. What's so good about her? She looks fake. How did our school invite her?" "I don't know. I heard that our school has some connections to her. She came to Shanghai for some events, so she had the time to come here as a judge, but she's only here for the finals. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I want to sign up now. Hee hee. Who do you think will win the competition?" "I don't know. I don't think anyone from our faculty can sing well." "Lin Jihao sounds quite good." "Is it? Oh right, I suddenly thought of that video I saw in my friend's circle that day at that busker at the entrance of the campus. If he has joined the competition, he will win for sure."